I need to get from San Francisco to Seattle, but I don't want to take a taxi to the airport. You've probably seen videos of people taking this trip using only local transit or taking the Amtrak Coast Starlight along this route, but I wanted to shine the light on the more usual way to complete this trip, by taking a plane, but using local transit to access each airport. Now, the flight part of this isn't anything special, it's just a 2-ish hour flight between two US cities on the most common plane in the skies. That's the Boeing 737. But I promise there's more to this journey. Both San Francisco and Seattle have their airports far from their downtowns, but both are served by a train that takes you on a somewhat indirect route right into downtown. I really like using public transit, and I prefer it to taxis or Ubers, so I want to share with you how you can fly from San Francisco to Seattle without using a taxi or Uber. I'm coming from San Francisco's west side, so first I'll take the 44 O'Shaughnessy Muni bus to the Glen Park neighborhood, where then I'll take the BART train to SFO. After I fly to SeaTac, I'll use the Link Light Rail to get to downtown Seattle. Simple enough. But before we can do that, I have a very important stop to make. That's right, trolley eggs. I cannot get enough of these things. Stick around if you want to learn more about trolley eggs. I made an educated risk in buying these trolley eggs with about 2 minutes before my bus arrived.
Oh my god, there's my bus. That was risky.
So I did have to run across the street as you're seeing here, but luckily I made the bus and I was on my way. One of the best things about BART is that it directly serves the San Francisco International Airport. Both the red and yellow lines of BART serve SFO during the day, though the red line stops running past 9 p.m. BART travels at high speeds and is very convenient if you happen to live near a station. Unfortunately, BART only runs along a single corridor in San Francisco and serves the East Bay on just 3 spines that don't go super close to much of the population in the area, so not too many Bay Area residents can walk to BART. Luckily, San Francisco has a pretty robust local transit system in the Muni bus and rail services. The northern part of San Francisco is famous for the hills that the streets just go straight up, but the central and southern parts also have hills, though these hills, as you can see, aren't as densely developed and the whole area feels much more suburban than you'd probably picture for when you think of San Francisco. The truth about San Francisco that I don't think too many outside of the Bay Area really grasp is that it's a decently car-friendly city, with many policies favorable to drivers, and with certain sections of the city being pretty optimized for cars. I'd say that this is the case for most parts of the city outside of the central core, and it's part of why San Francisco's mode share of drivers is still pretty high. But even in this relatively car-friendly part of the city, this bus is still packed with people. The 44 runs about every 10 minutes all day, and I think this ridership is a testament to the unmet appetite Americans have for alternatives to driving in cities. The 44 is a bit slow, and it does get stuck in traffic during peak travel demand periods, but it's still one of my favorite routes in the city, even though almost every window on this particular bus is covered in the dreaded window dots. I understand that agencies need money from the ads on the side of the buses, but I really hate dots. These just, they're awful. We're coming up now to my stop, the connection to the Glen Park train station.
Doors are opening.
Thank you. Thank you, 44 bus. It was totally dotted, but it took us where we needed to go.
The amount of time that it takes for the tap readers to read your cards now with Clipper 2.0 is actually insane. But at least the Glen Park station is this really magnificent, if kind of ugly, brutalist building. I don't know, brutalism is ugly. The Brutalist movie was... I can't even get into the Brutalist movie. I have so many thoughts about that. I no comment.
I've descended into the famously brutalist Glen Park BART station. Now about to hop on a BART Yellow Line to SFO. One trick of going to SFO is that if you board in the first car, you have to walk less distance once you get to SFO. So I'm going to do that. And here comes our train. I'll get on here. Oh, that's interesting.
The doors are closing. Please stand clear of the doors.
Happily on BART. The thing about BART is that I recognize that there are some major issues with it, but I also don't want anybody saying anything mean about BART. You don't get to hate it unless you love it. The flat rails that make the trains louder than any other train in the USA were a bad idea. The fact that the tracks are wider than a regular train was also a bad idea. But the high top speed, 70 miles per hour in regular service, is genuinely good, and the entire system was built from the ground up to be fully accessible. And that's fantastic. BART's biggest shortcoming is that it was primarily built to move commuters from the suburbs of the Bay Area into San Francisco and Oakland's downtowns. Though it's often used by people other than white-collar commuters, those other riders weren't who the system was originally built for. Unsurprisingly, I would love it if there were additional BART corridors across the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco. I think the optimal scenario for that would be if BART were to have that second corridor run north from Daly City under 19th Avenue on the west side, then turn east at Geary Boulevard where it would travel into downtown, cross under the existing BART line, connect to the Transbay Terminal, possibly connect to the Mission Bay area, then cross the San Francisco Bay in an additional tunnel, stop in Alameda, then send some service south and send the rest to a new rail terminal in the area freed up by a removed Highway 980 west of downtown Oakland before rejoining the existing BART network at MacArthur. This west downtown Oakland rail terminal could also connect to the Link 21 Regional Rail Transbay Tube and be the final northern terminus of California High-Speed Rail, which would have to be separate from the BART line we're discussing because the Link 21 project is going to be built with mainline track that BART can't operate on. I've thought about this more than a normal person would, and I can admit that. Riding BART to SFO is convenient, especially once you get to the airport, but that convenience sure costs you as a passenger. SFO charges BART a fee to operate at their station, and BART passes that fee along to riders in the form of a significant upcharge for trips starting or ending at SFO. BART does have a distance-based fare structure, meaning that longer trips cost the rider a higher fare, but trips to SFO cost significantly more than trips with comparable distances to other stations. If I had ridden one stop fewer from Glen Park to San Bruno instead, that would have cost $5, yet I paid $11.25 to go to SFO. It's a jump of over $6 from the previous stop, and if I'd gone one more stop to Millbrae, that would have cost me just $5.65. The SFO fee is so expensive that it costs riders less to travel further, which is crazy. This fee is so expensive. Now, I don't want to complain too much. This is not terrible if you're traveling alone as I am, and compared to an Uber or taxi to the airport from where I boarded, it's of course much cheaper. But if you're a family of 4, even with discounted youth fares, it will still cost your family a total of $42 to do the trip I just did, which is pretty close to the cost of an Uber. That's really not ideal. This situation is a problem to you and me as passengers, but it's actually a symptom of a much larger problem with how we treat public transit in this country. That's a very large topic that really warrants its own video, and you can comment if you want to see that from me. Anyway, now we're arriving at the BART SFO station.
Now
This
boarding
is your
at
train.
San Francisco International Airport.
I hope the recording picked that up. People constantly ask me for directions, even in countries that I don't live in. It happened to me in Japan and Denmark. Maybe something about my face. I don't know. Ooh, sunset plane shot. For my fans of United out there, specifically one Amar, this is for you.
This is for you.
I'd like to call your attention now to just how good the BART station placement within SFO is. The platforms are right there, you walk right out, and then in less than a minute of walking, you find yourself in the primary part of the international terminal. This is where all of the international check-in is, and you don't even have to go up or down stairs. It's on the same level. It's really, really excellent. The complicated part, or maybe unfortunate part about BART's connection to SFO is that it is a stub-end station, and that means that trains pull in and pull out on the same tracks rather than passing through the station. And that's not great because there's one more stop after SFO. In a perfect world, they would have been able to build a fully underground BART station that didn't require the big Y that they have. and that requires the stub end configuration, meaning that trips from Millbrae north into the city are slower than they would be if that wasn't there. Of course, if you had that, you would sacrifice the excellent walking connection to the international terminal. So, everything is trade-offs, right? So there's no easy answers. But there is one easy answer for getting to Terminal 1, which is that you just walk right across the international terminal. That's what I'm doing right now, and you'll see it. I'm already about halfway across, and it's really not that far. It's maybe 6 additional minutes of walking, but compared to riding the air train, you almost certainly come out ahead. The air train, you have to loop all the way around the terminals, and you have to walk up and to the station, then walk back down. And I think the SFO air train is really cool, but if you value time, then walking to Terminal 1, and same applies to Terminal 3, but it's an even shorter distance to get there. And this part of SFO is just really impressive. The sunset lights it up very nicely. Beautiful. And all you have to do is follow the signs to Terminal 1, 2, 3. Head down these escalators. I guess it's just one down escalator. Head down this escalator. And then walk a little ways. Presumably Port Lincoln is the place. I like to think it might also be that guy's name. It really is an easy walk. I would recommend this to anyone flying out of Terminal 1.
A few moments later.
And now we're here in the lovely Harvey Milk Terminal 1. For my money, one of the best terminals in the United States. And fortunately, Alaska flies out of here, so I get to fly out of it today. I've started the TSA timer. I'll check back with you on the other side.
A few moments later.
Good news, ice is not here. Line moved very quickly. All is right. Bad news is that my flight is delayed. It's not super late, but it might get worse. Hopefully not.
SFO has pretty solid airport Wi-Fi, and I used it to get some work done. But I also used this time to enjoy some of my absolute favorite candy of all time, the trolley egg. They are this jelly thing with a crispy, crunchy candy shell on the exterior. So they're sour on the outside, then sweet on the inside. And they are so good. I love these things. I cannot get enough of them.
I love these things so much. They're so good. Update, we are now less delayed. We are now less delayed than we were earlier. This is good.
After my delicious snack, I boarded the plane with the rest of the passengers. Standing in the jetway as we waited for the rest of the people to slowly pack into the jet reminded me, flying is not a comfortable experience. Just about every step of the way, flying is more unpleasant than it needs to be. Planes board front to back instead of from back to front. Flights are regularly delayed, and this flight was so full that passengers like me in later boarding groups were required to check our bags because there wasn't enough overhead storage. Our flight crew was amicable and did nothing wrong themselves, but the overall system of flying is just unnecessarily unpleasant, and I really wish that we had viable alternatives. This is more of a complaining tone than I like to offer on this channel, but I can't help but wish that I could have taken a bullet train to Seattle instead. Sure, there are other city pairs in the USA with a much stronger case for high-speed rail, but in my opinion, we'd be a much better country if we spent our tax dollars on awesome trains rather than on blowing up the Middle East for oil. If that offends you, I genuinely don't know what to say to you. I am out of patience, and I'm sorry. Anyway, I got to my seat, got my book out. At this point I was reading Project Hail Mary, which is a great book. All of you should read it. It's fantastic. I also took part in the free snack bag and drink that Alaska provides. This flight also, the Wi-Fi was down on the plane, so just another point off of flying, and perhaps a point off Alaska Airlines. It's 2026. They really should be doing better than this. But they did get us to Seattle almost on time, and considering the delay that we had, and also considering that we technically made up time in the air, I appreciate our flight crew for doing that. At this point, I got off the plane and walked through the Seattle airport.
I have made it to Seattle successfully, where they also have a little thing that tells you where to put your waist. It's like a camera. Where will it tell me to put my hand? I guess it's smart enough to know that I don't belong in the trash, which is nice.
Seattle calls their airport the SeaTac Airport, which is a combination of Seattle and Tacoma, the major metro areas that it is approximately halfway between.
Unfortunately, they ran out of overhead storage space on the plane, so I had to check my bag. So now I have to go pick it up from baggage claim, which just delays me further. But the flight technically arrived early, so I am still gonna make the train, so that's good. Speaking of the train,
when you leave SeaTac, you actually get to take these funny little underground people movers.
surprise extra train.
They've been refurbished so they have screens showing you where you are and where the next stop is going to be, which is great. But they are some of the oldest people movers in any airport in the world. They are in the same vehicle family as the Atlanta People Mover, which you may know that I love, so it's kind of fun to be on one of these again.
Exit 4, D gates, baggage claim, and ground transportation.
Pretty solid passenger information screens here. Tells you what line it is very clearly and where it's going. This would have been retrofitted, so nice job, Seattle Airport. All right, this has got to be it. San Francisco flight here. Now I just have to be patient. Is that it? Are we so back? Oh yeah, we're so back. So I've successfully got my bag, and now we've all the signs to Link Light Rail. Now we begin one of the less pleasant parts of using Link to get to and from SeaTac Airport, which is the long walk through the parking garage. It's maybe like 4 or 5 minutes of walking, and it's not bad, to be clear. You know, we are not out in the elements. I mean, it's you know, ambient temperature of the air around you, but you're protected from any precipitation. So it's really not that bad, and still beats like dealing with traffic, I would assume. But I was used to airport connections being like this to mass transit in the USA, because in most cases a rail connection to an airport is more of an afterthought. My mind was completely blown when I flew into Narita Airport, where the kind of car gutter, or the space where the car gutter would be, was like 4 tracks of train service with multiple operators. It was crazy, and I really wish that we had stuff like that here. I think that would be cool. Instead, you get honked at for walking. I don't know who gets to be on that, but somehow made to feel a bit like a pariah, even in the pedestrian walkway. If I'm not mistaken, we are in one of, if not the largest parking structures on the planet. I will have my editor, who is future me, verify that claim. Link Light Rail, here we come. I don't actually know when the next train is, so I maybe should walk faster. I don't want to miss it. Oh, okay. Beware of rogue vehicles if you walk through here as a pedestrian. I think I might still have money on my Orca card, so we'll find out. Yeah! All right, sweet. Behold the escalator shot. "15 minutes to the next train," and there's already a ton of people on the platform. I think they should run more trains. Now, we are, of course, in the Pacific Northwest, which means there's actually seasons, and I feel cold, but it's okay, we'll be fine. Sound Transit is awesome because they have a numbering system for their wayfinding. This is pretty standard in other countries, but it's pretty uncommon in the US, so it's great to see it here. Also, this map is already signed for the opening of the 2 line. which is, of course, why we're here.
That's why I'm here.
I would like to point out that it is 11:42 p.m. and there's so much traffic coming into SeaTac. That's wild. This area needs rapid transit so badly. It's so good that Link exists. If only they ran more of them.
It is good to be on a warm train.
Next stop, Tukwila International Boulevard.
It's pronounced Tukwila? Here I was saying Tukwila. I'm not going to cover the Link too much because I've got a much bigger video coming all about the Link light rail, so stay tuned for that. But my succinct thoughts on it are that it's good, and I mean, there are ways it could be better, but it's mostly good. Goodbye, Link Light Rail. Thank you. There's a number of ways to take public transit from San Francisco to Seattle. A lot of videos make the trek in really creative and crazy ways. I did it in the most normal way imaginable. I hope that was interesting in its own right. Thank you so much for choosing to watch. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to watch more videos, I've got more on the channel and I've got more in the works too. So you should subscribe because you should. I haven't gotten off at this station before, and look how, first of all, this is such a narrow escalator, and it's also so tall. This is really deep. Pioneer Square is a really deep station. Wow, neat.